Done with dinner and ready to keep on solving some more of these clues. Okay. Who were we up to? We just solved the third last down clue. It's time to go back up to the across clues and give those a go. We have a my cursor over to the iPad that I'm solving on. But we have some, I suppose, data from the down clues that might help us get some of these cross clues out now. I'm just going to try and spend a bit of time working on the first two of them. I mean, this one here, like Catholic nurses left in front of Angus. I mean, we do know that there's going to be a C and an L in that top row. We also have a T for Tigers, potentially. But, I mean, it may well be that what we are looking for is word meaning plant. So Catholic can be short for C. It can also be an indicator for Roman Catholic as in RC. What do I find? Proof of that. There we go. Catholic, third abbreviation of C. Nurses left in front of Angus. Nurses, enrolled nurses. Catholic nurses left. There's nothing obvious here which suggests, there's nothing which is in this clue which obviously suggests that there's a misprint, so it might be that we're in fact looking for we're looking at a clue which has extra words. I'm wondering if it's, what it is the word Catholic, so C for Catholic, and then we have L inside a word which is a Scottish word for front. I'm not too good with my Scottish words. The data that we have from the down clues might suggest that it's a word which ends in T. So I'm looking at a four-letter word for front that ends with a T, and it is ultimately a plant. I'm going to use my crossword dictionary to look up 6-letter plants that start with C. Cactus, cereal, flower, lichen, cudgel, locate, settle. There's so many potentials there, and I just don't know what the Scottish word for front might be. I mean, it could be front in the sense of cheek or cheekiness, or it could be front in the sense of what's on the front of, the front of something, spatula. Can't think of what they could be. I'm not too good with my plant knowledge. I've always thought it's a bit a bit much to just define a plant as a particular plant as a plant, because there are so many. One knows that they're looking for a plant, but there are so many thousands or potentially hundreds of thousands of different forms of flora on the earth that it doesn't actually really narrow anything down. A plant can also be a factory or a shop or be equipment. If we are looking for something starting with C, I'm not sure. Plants starting with C, the only thing I think of is a cactus. Obviously not a. Just go back to the down clues after the ones after tigers, which might still start in the first line, because we do have before, which I'm fairly confident probably appears in the first row, just at the end there. So if we look at just these 4 clues that follow tigers, I'm wondering if any of those could start with the letters of B, E, F, O, R or E in that order. As we were solving wasn't slow enough already, this is where it definitely starts to get much slower. Apparently I've got one viewer. If you're viewing, say below in the chat, and if you've got any ideas for what some of these answers might be, let me know. We'll work our way through them. Fuddle when cycling at 1 in the morning. So this is what I had. I had that idea of 1 a.m. for in the morning, 1 in the morning, and AT or bearing in mind that the A or the T might be wrong, or might be a misprint. But none of those letters are appearing before. No. I'm looking at the other letters of before and seeing if I can replace the T with them, but it doesn't really work either. New York Lounge. Heart of butterfly. What's related to moth? And a view can be a vista, and heart of butterfly is a vista. I mean, I wonder if that's a word. No. Look up some other 5-letter words for view. Angle, judge, range, scene, sight, study, watch. Nothing really helps there. Shrine number on plate. So born by rector. Hello, Victory Point Gaming. We're solving a cryptic here, and what you'll notice from the preamble, just give me a second, let me zoom in on the preamble. Is that there are some modifications made to some of the clues before we can solve them, so we're trying to make some inroads on the clues. If you have any ideas, let me know. You can hone in on them. Shabby doyens, the Y could change to Z and then we've got dozens. So it could be a word like lots, carrying earth. I think E is short for earth, so it could be a word meaning dozens around E for earth, which could give us shabby. But shabby could also be a cryptic indicator. I'm going to go back to the across clues. Looking at this one before, honest, take gives us R, it's a Latin for recipe. Trashed, so honest plus R, trashed for bad, dowered, ditty. I think one potential anagram that we had was thrones. Just wonder what the other options might be. Shorten. But if that's how that clue works, then that would suggest that there's something funny going on here. Missing a word, or we've got a misprint. So we've got some abbreviations of honest A. Hornets, shorten, threnos. Yeah, an ode or song of lamentation, especially for the dead. Shakespearean version of it is threnos. Well, that's certainly not a band's dour ditty, but a bard's dour ditty. So change the N to the R, and then we've just got a simple anagram clue there. That works. Where were we? Mark. Below mark. So R to the N to the R for change bands to bards for Shakespeare. We have threnos. So where would that go up here after the marks? After mark. Victory Point Gaming says, that's hard. Wow. It's certainly not easy, but it's the sort of thing that can be extraordinarily rewarding. If we work out how to get through it. And we're doing our best. Making very slow progress so far. But, you know, a little bit of gentle prodding. It's coming good. try to put Threnos there. Now, I think, I don't think Threnos can go in the middle. I think it can only go above the middle row. It doesn't really fit in with Tigers either. I wonder if, just looking at the positioning of some of those things, move these back a bit. So I'm trying to get Threnos in there. That would suggest that for the second across clue, if I'm right about the placement of these things, the second across clue can't end in T, because otherwise Tigers will clash with Threnos. What we're looking for there, we're looking for a Scottish word for front that we can put L into. So the Scottish word for front doesn't end in T, I think. Maybe we're looking for a plan switch. That starts with a T, and it has an LT inside the letters that follows. I think it was too early to try and make some more exhaustive searches. Sorry, make some wildcard searches using chambers, or if I should push myself a bit further before I start doing that. Might just try and go a little bit further before I do. Poetic direction could be like a three-letter word for towards or over, or I mean over without the V is a poetic form of over. I'm wondering how we can get so much out of that. Romantic knows when to take a longer time. I wonder if Rufescent thread, fruit, sorry, is in fact some extra words. I wonder if an anagram of you're in can be a passage. No. You can. And I'd like to get this one, Caliban's cage, so a word for cage in Tempest. Became mouldy trove talked of. Word for... I'm going to look that up, I think. So, Cage in the Tempest. For a 6-letter word. A word for cage in the Tempest. Cloven pine. Is cloven the word? No, I don't think so. Who pops into Google? On there. Oh. Caliban's cage. I mean, Caliban's cage could also be. It could also be C and N. First and last letters. But I'm not sure about that. Figure shaped by revolution. Stopped on it. And stepped on it could be. Stopped on it could actually be a misspelling of stepped on it, as in like revved or ran. Into speed. It'll be speed. So stepped on as in sped, maybe. That's the definition. Shaped by revolution. I can't see how sped could be included as figure shaped by revolution, but I do like stepped on it as instead of stopped on it for the misprint. Bones. I mean, what are some types of bones? Ossa. That's 4 letters, is a bone. Bones thrown at might suggest bones going backwards. I'm just trying to think of 3-letter word for bones that could go backwards. It could have been canary, but not sure about that. Not ribs. if it was as simple as that, I wonder if there's actually a misprint in bones, because it doesn't. I think it's unlikely there's a misprint in canary. So a misprint, a word that's one letter off the word for bones reversed could give a three-letter word for canary, but I just can't think of a three-letter word for canary. Canary. Canary's a yellow colour, I think. It's also an informer. Another word for an informer is a rat. Tar. Rat backwards is tar. Tar is a word for a sailor. Just wondering if I can get something out of that. Could bones be one letter off sailor or tar? I do like that if it's as a possibility. I really do like that as a possibility. In fact, I'm going to put that here. What are other words for informers? I'm sure there might be a few. Geez, bones isn't a word for a sailor. There's a word for a doctor. Informer. Dog. Rat, a spy. I don't think, of course, the reverse of dog is God. Don't think that gets us anywhere. Not sure who this Bertie is. Oh. It could be a misprint of bestie. If we get something like pal or Amy, mon ami. If Bertie was bestie instead. What we're thinking with this one was whether or not it's an anagram of bread or a word. It's only a letter off bread, which means own. Okay, think of something there. They're rather stuck, I think. See chart in charges for Canadian flags. Yeah, that's right. Canary equals dog, like the Canary Islands. Like the Canary Islands? Not sure how the Canary Islands comes into it. Maybe it does. Put that on my red. Caliban's, no. Caliban's case, Caliban's cage, no. Fondly battering base, brill not without issue. I mean, battering almost wants to be an anagram clue. An anagram indicator, I think. Just can't think of anything. Cannot think of anything. Can't really identify the fodder in that. Well, this is one of the first ones you had. Agent of Change in animated manga. Once again, obviously, an anagram clue in terms of animated manga. I think I was looking at anagram as well as. We settled on manager, but I don't think a manager can be an agent of change. Or it can certainly be an agent. But we wouldn't be changing ER to get manager, we'd only be putting it after anagram of manga. So I don't like that. Sacking of main actor. Oh, there we go, we had one here, which we were wondering whether or not an anagram of MAINCO could give us a word meaning trees, essence or something like that. Let's just put that straight into this. Yeah. Kanema, the fragrant resin of a tropical American Bersaceous tree. There we go. So we're on the right track there. This is what I mean when I say that I don't think anyone can really be criticised for using solving aids when they're solving these types of crosswords, because kanema is simply not the type of word that you typically come across in your everyday, day-to-day existence. It's ridiculous. We've got kanema there. So Victory Point Game says the Canary Islands are named after the Latin phrase Canarai Insulae, meaning island of dogs. I didn't know that. Isn't that a funny little link between the word canary and the word dog, which both mean informer, but I think for different reasons. Like canary means to, like a canary, I think sings, doesn't it? So to sing is to inform, and informer is also a dog for a different reason. But it sort of comes full circle that way, doesn't it? I had no idea about that, the origin of the name of the Canary Islands. Thank you. I'm going to pencil in kanema in the third row. And curiously, same route as going on. Yeah, I think that must be right. The presence of kanema in the third row may suggest. See, that doesn't work for us. I can't squeeze line in next to sensual. But I'm just wondering, what if This was here. Another clash there, unfortunately. It's not good. And despite the fact there's a clash here, I'm gonna just imagine that Kanema is in the middle of the third row. Is that possible? One, two, three. I think it has to be. Unless it finds its way all the way over at the end, but I just don't think it does. Don't think it does at all. Or it could potentially be that lion. This is interesting. This is quite interesting. So we have here in the down clues 2 words at the end of only 3 letters. I wonder if that means, but above that we only have 1 clue of only 3 letters. So I wonder if what that means is that one of the 4-letter entries in the one of the 4-letter entries, which could be lion, is in fact one of those clues that needs to be where the entry needs to be altered. So I'm wondering whether, lin, I think is a word, L-I-N, to cease or give over. Spencerian word. It's also a waterfall. Long is a word for longitude, not really a word, but I wonder if lion actually becomes lin. So I'm just going to move this up here. I'm just going to imagine for a moment that lion is lin, because that way it does fit in with Kanema, I think. What's the definition? To cease or give over, or a waterfall. And I wonder if... Did we have a ravine in these clues? No, we didn't have a ravine. Do we have a word like stop? No, it stopped on it. Cease. Spencerian word, Edmund. No. Any pause? I'm not sure if that's right, but I think, just looking at it this way, I think potentially the fact that we have I may well just be trying to squeeze line in a little bit too early. I'm trying to squeeze all these words in a little bit too early, I think. I won't be trying to make things fit together that simply do not fit together. I mean, what would resolve the issue, I think, is if I was able to work out that second cross clue. I'll be right back. we're talking about the second across clue, plant. So I think we're definitely looking for the word meaning plant. I think it's got an LT in it. Cowther? Could it be cowther? It's a plant. Celtic. Could well be cowther. That potentially fits. If this is shifted over here a little bit. Coolth. So if it was Cowther, how could we get that? So the C from Catholic, of course. We have that. I think we have the left. We potentially have the front of Angus. Was Ather a word? No. So I was wondering if that was a Scottish word for front, but front of Angus can also clue. Could nurses somehow be ATH? Could ATH be? No. Oh. I'm an idiot. I wonder if Cath is also an abbreviation for Catholic. It is. So we have Cath with an L inside it. And then front of Angus. So I think the word nurses or the word in is superfluous, but I think it's more likely to be the word, I mean it could be either really, it could be nurses or in, either one of those could be superfluous, because if it was Catholic left in, then that's sufficient to indicate the letter L in Cath. If it was Catholic nurses left, that also is a sufficient indicator for the letter L in Cath. So I think we don't know which one of those is the extra letter yet. So the extra word yet. So I'm just going to highlight nurses and in. But the answer to the second across clue is definitely Cowther. I think what that lets us do is it makes us more certain, I think, of the placement of Kaka and Lynn and Tagans. That means that Lion can only really go, or if it's Lynn, can only really go in one place. Now, Lion must be a shorter, one of those shortened words, unless Koinema is not correct. Just going on the basis that Koinema is correct for that third row, its placement there. Just return to a couple of clues after Tagers, because it might be that we're looking for a word starting with H or a word starting with A. So what I was thinking here with this one, I've come back to it a few times, at 1 in the morning, if that could be, means change the T to an H and recycle it. Hyanna's just simply not a word. But we can also cycle it this way. A Marty. Now that may well be a word. It's a violin. sorry, a violin or a cello. There we go. And of course, it's not fuddle then, it must be fiddle. So to get a violin or a cello, change the fiddle to fuddle to fiddle, which is actually rather exciting because what that means is I think I'm confident enough now to lock in a few more entries. So I'm going to start putting these in, the ones that I'm confident of, in blue. I consider that to be a bit of a breakthrough. I can go over the reasons why I think these clues definitely go where these entries definitely go where I've put them. It might be sufficient just to put them in there. It's just guesses about the enumerations of, or estimates or assumptions about the enumerations of the various across clues. That tends to suggest in my mind as well that lion to Lynn may well be one of these clues here where a letter's missing. I think the O may well be missing from the IO spot. I think we can probably also say that central must go here. I think that also means we might be able to start putting in some more of these bars. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Kaka, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tigers. 1, 2. Is this correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Okay. Oakley-dokley. So I had a feeling that getting that second across clue off might help us bed down a few of these entries. And I was right, I think. I still don't have anything between Kaka and Lion, so it means we've also got a bar here. Mark goes right before Threnos. I wonder if what that means is, I'm just going to move Leet out of the way, but I wonder if that means Mark and Rubio might go here. Because before Mark we have a 5-letter word that will give space for that. I think it must because we have 6 letters for the entry after Konema, 5 letters for the entry before Mark. I think this is the only place where that Mark entry can go. So I'm going to lock those ones in as well. And I think in this way we can see that this is, despite the fact it's a carte blanche grid, it is actually quite forgiving in the sense that we haven't needed to solve too many clues. So come back, we'll check if that Rihanna goes there. Haven't had to solve too many clues, but we certainly have enough to get a real sense of where these entries are likely to go. I'm going to lock in before there. Definitely going to lock in centre. Reatta. So, if Reatta is symmetrically opposite the clue before mark, so let's see if they're meant to be symmetrically opposite entries. The clue before mark is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They are. So there we go. Done. Well, not quite done, but locked in quite a few of them there. It's good. Not sure where this lead goes, but I mean that can. Oh wait a sec, we've got small bars we can put in here. I mean what that does is it definitely confirms that lion is one of these letters that is missing one of these entries, one of the answers where the entry needs to change, but that might also help us try and pull out a definition from one of the other clues that means to cease or give over, or a waterfall, or pool, or ravine. Hi Vanilla, how are you? Welcome back. So I'm looking for something that could indicate to cease or give over, or a waterfall, or a pool. If I find something like that, then that might be an indication that this might be some additional words I can take out of a clue. What's the definition of dike? I don't think it's a ravine, no. It's sort of the opposite really, isn't it? We do have a Spencerian word phrase here, plans for Edmund. I wonder if we can plans, no, I don't know what I'm thinking there, never mind. Sorry, we did solve this one. Alrighty. So we're actually getting a bit of feedback from the grid now, which in an ideal world would assist us to solve some more of these clues. I might just go back and revisit some of these other clues I was thinking about before. So I was thinking about this clue here, sell mate, hut of sorts, spending money for old rope end of. I was thinking that this is actually sell ATE, an anagram of that because we've lost the M. I wonder if that gives us something there. I'm going to search up anagrams of cell 8. A salt eel. A salt eel is an obsolete word for a rope's end. I think I might have come across that before, but certainly didn't remember it, but there's no doubt that that is the answer for this one. Salt eel. So the H becomes an O. Got that correction there. A salt eel. Now that is the fourth last. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it needs to be symmetrical to central, which is the fourth across, which means I think that it's here. Salt eel. Also, it's a phrase which is definitely in common usage and totally fair to expect solvers to know that without having to use a dictionary, just like Cowther and Kanema and Threnos and Amati and Kaka. I think we've got some bars we can put in there as well. Which I think means that Tigers, so the clue after... Oh no, what have I done wrong here? This is interesting because the clue after Tigers I've got Amati. But I think if we're looking at it symmetrically, then the Rubia for Mark would potentially be there. Unless we have another instance of the cell being missing in Rubia. Maybe Rubia doesn't go the whole way down. Because the clue for Amati follows perfectly after, so it comes straight after Tigers. But if Rubia actually goes the whole way down here, then you'd think that's symmetrically opposite to a clue that goes in there, and that just cannot be correct. So I suspect Rubia, just to make this work, Rubia may be one of those clues where it loses a letter. But I just can't think of what letter that would be. Oh. We've got a difficulty there. I think there's something in the grid there that just simply does not make sense. The alternative, of course, is that Rubia does not go here. Rubia goes somewhere else, and I should not have put it there. I think that must be the alternative, because I know Mark. I think that's the answer. Which means that I think I need to get rid of these bars here. I don't think I put those in too quickly. But I can put those in. So I don't think I should not have put Rubia in with Mark. There's really no justification for that at this stage. It was just a guess, turned out it was wrong. Okay. So, any other feedback from this? Don't think we are yet. I don't see any quick ins here except for This wondering if this 3-letter clue here so much is poetic direction. It's a 3-letter clue that goes on the end of the row, because it's the 4th clue after a marty or a matty, the violin or the fiddle. Which, I mean, it may well be at the end of the thing, and direction starting with E, which is only 3 letters. I'm thinking of east, but so much is. And est is, I think, a French word for east, isn't it? But I don't think it's a poetic word. Not sure how it could clue so much either. What do we have up here? This is an interesting one. Miss Sweden has 8 ingenues. Initially entering, some of them are slender. I think we're thinking 8 could be a candidate for a word with a misprint. So maybe we're looking for something I from whatever the start of 8 is, and I from ingenues, inside a word that means miss. Followed by an S. And the definition is some of them are slender. I mean, that's probably the case for all sorts of things. And to miss is to, I think I was looking at 4-letter words for miss before. Sure, there's a lot of them. But if it's, and there's every chance that this is an entry which goes here in the grid. So that's, no, it couldn't be actually. Because if it went there, and this here would also have to be a 7-letter entry. So maybe it goes there. What's a word that goes L-O-R? This could be to long. 8 could turn into right. I don't think lorries is a word, is it? It is. Spencerian word for teaching. Loring. But that's not really given by, some of them are slender. I mean, but you could actually get that if the 8 was misprinted and it should be right. R-I instead of long, and you end up with Lorings, but followed by S for Sweden, but I don't think that's the answer, unfortunately. despite the fact that the wordplay may well lead to it. Wonder if had this clue before, Mark. Wonder if we are in fact looking for a anagram of Earls, which either means wild plants in a Spencerian sense or Dixie brother. Plans can mean lair, but I suspect this is one of those ones where we just have too many words. No, not getting anything from that. What?
Let's put a leather jacket.
A leather jacket?
It was so big.
Oh, really?
I got spiked by it.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you bring it home?
No, you can actually keep them.
But how about you get one of those little fish rollers?
Yeah, we probably should. But there's no size limit for the leather jacket.
Oh, really? Is that because there's too many of them?
Probably.
That's great work. Good work, Lex.
Cheers, mate.
Proud of you. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, Lorien is a word, but so it gets it. I mean, what would the other aspect? I mean, romantic knows. This is the second 7-letter one potentially. I think we do know that there are 2 7-letter words here in the middle, and in the middle of the grid going down, and that has to be these 2 7-letter entries, I think, or 7-letter clues. If Miss Sweden has 8 ingenues, initially entering, some of them are slender. I mean, is there such a thing as like? No, I mean, it's a Spencerian word, and there's no indication of that. There's no indication of it being. Now, let me just go have a look at 4-letter words for miss again. Maybe I'm missing something. Sometimes one just massively overthinks these things and lose, lack. Alright, let's look at these options here for this one. Miss equals lose, lack, or lass. So chuck an n.s on the end of them for the Sweden part. And try and work out if there's anywhere where we can put something I in the middle of them. And that could go there. Lennox, I like that. No. Lorises? Yeah, there's such a thing as a slender loris. Of course there is. Just like a slow loris. So, the E for 8 actually becomes, let me find that, R to give right. We were correct about our supposition about how the clue works. So it's loss for miss, S for Sweden, losses, which has RI, which is right, ingenues initially entering. Some of them are cylinder. The answer is lorises, in the sense of a slender loris. Which we can go back to the grid and just write it up here first. We can whack that bad boy in here. Lorises. How swell is that? I think it's pretty cool. Romantic knows when to take a longer time. Knows. Longer. No, I think the definition is probably romantic. Could well be one of those clues where we have an extra letter and it could be an extra word and it could be longer. I mean, romantic's noun and adjective. Romeo, Lothario, Amor. Can't really pin it down to anything, I don't think. Not sure. We're coming after Central. I think that's the one where we suspect there's only two. Yeah, there must only be two entries on that line that the second row that Central's in, so. Where to go to now? Chine. We were looking at this one before. Let's try and work out what the definition of it is. That's the backbone and the part of the boat. And we're wondering if this was an anagram of Lyra and Ned. So let's check that out. Durnley. Durnley is secretly, sorrowfully. That means sadly old. Butchered is the anagram indicator. Sadly old is the definition. And chine is the extra word. Alright, that's interesting. So this is one of the across clues, so we'll get rid of chine. The answer is Durnley. Which is an obsolete word for sadly. This is one of those words that loses a letter. I suspect the letter that it loses So get rid of these bad boys. Is the N. Because that would make the entry dearly. I'm quite confident of that. Because it does fit with that Rubio. I'm not sure where it leaves our lead. It might be that the N comes from here, from the spot that the cell, the L would have been in. Okay, so we have dearly, so we might, the new words that we have, the alternate entries are dearly and Lynn so far. It's interesting. Just wondering if, do we, so if we're looking for extra words to take out of clues, something that means dearly or Lynn would work. There's going to be 9 examples of that, I think. So, alright. Just going to circle, highlight this one, dearly. Making progress. This crossword.
Are you going to turn into one of them?
I'm going to straight up. I was explaining to someone at work today that people actually watch people doing stuff online. Blown away by the idea. As am I. As am I. Pretty fucking weird. Matter in a way. Doesn't matter in a way. Alright, so if we put Rubia there, that might suggest that, we can put another bar in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, that might suggest that we're looking for, from the down clues after a Marty, we're looking for a 6-letter word that starts with F, something, something, E, something, E. Which can only be this one. View, heart of butterfly, once related to moth. I mean, view, heart of butterfly, once related to the heart of butterfly. Can be E, and that might explain the E on the end of that entry. I'm not sure what a 5-letter word meaning view starting with F could be. But we are looking for something once related to a moth apparently. Which is, I'm going to do a pattern search for that one. F something something E something E. Facet is an archaic word for facetious. Relating to facetiae. Facetiae be... Did we change a letter in moth to get... Yeah, of course, a view is a facet. It has to be that. So the answer has to be F-A-C-E-T. So I'm confident about that. But facete, once again, a word which never knew. Where are we? Facete. Moth. I'm going to change a letter in moth. I'm not sure what it is yet, but we can probably work out what it is at a later stage. So, related to moth should actually be a clue that means relating to witty or humorous sayings. It's got to be related to mots, M-O-T-S, because I think a mot is a pithy or witty saying. There we go, yeah, French word for that. So the misspelt word here is the S of, instead of the H. So we are starting to accumulate some corrected letters now, which is good. What that also tells us is that between a Martian or a Mattian facete, we have a 7-letter word which either starts with B or E. New York loads short of use. Sorry, I'm going to put this here. New York loads short of use kept aboard Dutch boat. So the enumeration for this one is either going to be B, H, H, or E, R, R. New York loads short of use kept aboard Dutch boat. I mean, it's obviously a container clue of some sort. I mean, imagine there might be a lot of Dutch moats. Actually, when I was cycling a cycling tour in that part of the world recently, and I'm fairly sure we drove across, or rode, I should say, across quite a few moats, because just out of Amsterdam, and of course most of, well, I think the entirety of that part of Netherlands is below seawater. So I wonder if this is in fact meant to be M, so it's a moat. I just don't know what the Dutch word for a moat is. But short of use, kept aboard, and Dutch moat. Kept inside a Dutch moat, maybe. It's a word meaning New York loads. Sort of use. I just don't know what that is. But the enumeration is one of those two things, there's no doubt about that, I think. Can't be any doubt about that. We have, have enough yet to start solving some of these to help us out too much with the across clues, except that, actually no we do. One thing we do know for sure is that in the middle here, this clue here, burn hair, nuts and one's tongue, that must symmetrically sit in the middle of the entire grid. So let's bar this off. And what I was saying before about this clue is that I suspect it's probably a language defined by the word tongue, and I suspect it probably ends in I. And we have that. We now see in the grid we have an enumeration which does look like that. And the fact it looks like that means... Actually, sorry, just whilst I'm saying that, I'm realising that elite could in fact be... Actually, elite could go there. Let's put elite there. That works. I like that for elite. I do like that for elite. But, sorry, just going back to this. Burnt hair, nuts, and one's tongue. I suspect this is a clue where we need to change a letter in burn or hair so we get a word which can be abbreviated to a single letter. Now, I think it's got to be a letter in the word burn which we need to change, because these two letters here, I and R, are part of hair. And just in case I'm getting ahead of myself, I say that because I think nuts is an anagram indicator, or an anagram. But I'm just not sure. We'll start with B, I suppose. Let's have a look at what words can be abbreviated to. Oh, of course, born. If this changes to an O, then that becomes born, which then becomes B, and then the letters that we're trying to make the clue out of are B-H-A-I, R-I. We already have the I, those in there. So I wonder if any of these languages got no idea. Arabi? I mean, Arabi sounds the most like a language, I think. Let's have a look. No. Bihari. Oh, of course, everyone knows Bihari. That one. Jesus Christ. Native of Bihar in northern India. How did we not know that? Should have come to mind straight away. Bihari. That's interesting, because that does give us that central clue. Bihari. And we have there born, is that letter? So I like that. We're making good progress. We are cooking with gas, so to speak. What this means as well is I don't think we are going to have any other entries going into this central row. They are probably all going to be as is. Unchecked cells. does give us a enumeration for our romantic clue. I always want it to be amorous. Well, probably is amorous. So nose, so when is AS. To take a longer time. Does that work? To, I mean, Moreau, I mean, it's just not a word. I think we're looking for a slight variation on amorous here. Amorette. Just don't know. I mean, it's screaming out for amorous. I'm not sure what the nose is. Yeah. I mean, if the definition is romantic, amorous could be an answer for that, but might not be the definition. May well be mistaken about that. I think just looking at this, these down enumerations as well, I think we can put a few more bars in, because there's no way that we have an entry of length 3 before kaka. Which leaves us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before kaka. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that helps us spread those out a bit. Group of let's go down to some of these earlier down clues. Group of cello players finally filling in grand. And it could go in the 5th down space. So down in the 5th column. As players finally is S filling in grand. And grand could be allow. I mean, group of cells. I was thinking before group of cells instead of group of cello. And group of cells could also be a jail as well as a grid. Not really convinced by. I think in there, I mean, obviously we're looking at a group of cello or group of something as a definition, and players finally going in. So the S from players going inside a word meaning grand. What are some 4 letters of words meaning grand? Lend, allow, gift, carry, grant, send, fee, aid. I don't know. I just do not know. Made some meaningful progress there, I think. See if we can get a couple more out before I call it quits for the night. Provide a pound for payment for droid, and that goes after Koidema, so that's got to be at the end of the third row. Provide a pound for payment for droid. Provide a pound payment for droid. Droid could also be druid if there was a change. So provided nothing's coming to me. Dear. Could it then be a shrine? No. Let's taste. Went to post haste, I mean that could well be a two words that could be removed and become a definition of something else. It's become sped, went to post haste. I think we were looking at something to do with speeding before, weren't we? Where was that? Stopped on it, sped. No, that doesn't work. Should be the middle, the CH coming down from the mark, just through the middle of the grid. What would that entry be? Could be the could well be the clue for the second last one of enumeration 6. Caliban's cage became mouldy, drove talked of. Just not getting anything there. Nothing. Here we go, before Rita. So we do have a spot in the grid where we've got room for a 4-letter entry. And we know that this is one of those clues where cheats regularly steal plush cetacea, which is I think a rock firm. I've had a few drinks, I definitely didn't pronounce that right. Sister CA, plant of the rock rose genus. Maybe. So cheats regularly steal plush. This could well be the definition here. So we're looking for a plant of that genus. And I expect it's a 5-letter word which needs to become a 4-letter word with the enumeration S something L something L. So we're looking, there's an extra letter in there somewhere that it comes out, but the cheats regularly steal maybe we'll give us ST, so SEL LS. I don't know what we're doing here. This is superfluous words. These words are superfluous. So the words sister, so maybe, must come out. The answer to the clue is cells, which is of course a meaning for cheats, a word meaning cheats. I don't think SELS is a word. It's a Scottish word for self. And maybe it's a Scottish word for selves, but that does give us this. I suspect we probably have an S here, but let's just pretend we have an L. I suspect that's another one of our words that loses something. So it's another one of our entries that loses a letter. Which means that we need to pull out of one of the other clues, the definition for either cells, SELS, a Scottish word for self, or cell. Not sure we would necessarily find that, but should have picked that one up much earlier, I think. It's just a regular odds and evens clue. All those bars are coming along nicely. They are, I think. I think we're getting there. The grid's definitely given us a little bit more feedback than what it was before. Alrighty. If anyone else is watching along, feel free to say hello and have a chat. High range. I think that's the clue. there's... I must be able to pull out a definition for dearly, wouldn't it? Fondly. That means dearly. I wonder if that's an extra word there in just the first across clue, fondly, and that's what means dearly. Because we have dearly down in the bottom here. But that's the product of deleting an N from Durnley. We know that where we've done that, those entries which have deleted letters are going to be defined by words which are removed from other clues. So I wonder whether if we remove fondly, then the clue we end up with is battering base brill not without issue. I mean, without issue might mean childless or easily or something like that. I mean, battering almost suggests an anagram clue. Base is can be abbreviated to B. But I just don't see how we can get a 7-letter. If battering is an anagram clue, I'm just not sure how we can get a 7-letter answer out there. But I do suspect that fondly is an extra word there. And can we get? And funnily enough, I mean, we can actually fit manager in here, but it's not necessarily unusual. That could go at the end of the second row after central, but like I say, it's not unusual that they can fit manager, because I mean, we're definitely looking at the ends of manager. Is a manager an agent of change? I don't think so. But it's definitely an agent. Manager's definitely an agent. I just can't complete the parsing of the I mean, as can also be UT is a Latin word for as, so I wonder if is it Sargaman? And that just simply doesn't fit. But manager does fit. Manager can go at the end of that second row. I mean, are there any similar words? I'm just trying to find some other things you can go there. I mean, it's really only manager. The issue I have with that being the answer, manager being the answer, is I do not like the word in that we see here. So I can accept the change of the A to the E to give enough clues for manager, to give enough the correct letters to make manager when you mix it with the manga, but in doesn't do it for me, and I'm not sure a manager is an agent for change rather than just an agent. Don't like doesn't pass correctly. Wake after remarkably clear remembrance. Gas stove is full of junk. It's got a B in the middle of it. Because that comes after the barring before cells. It has to have a B in the middle. Gas stove, that is. Full of junk. I mean, that is might be, it suggests it ends in IE. A doobry could be junk, or a name. I think its name is unknown, but oh dear. Maybe the definition is just gas stove. We're looking for nothing there. I do like the idea of luminant being ruminant. And I just can't quite make that work. And this clue here, add gag, I think that would have to go here in the middle, I suspect. A-E-R. I'm an idiot. This is easy. Staring me right in my face. The answer is aerate. It's not add gag, it is add gas. What we'd say there is aerate is in the middle here, in the middle of get a reaction, and that's indicated by somewhat repelled. So part of get a reaction backwards gives aerate. There we go, that's a nice little get. It confirms the position of leet. Confirms the position of lorises. Potentially gives us the start of one of these three-letter words down the bottom here as being an A. I suspect it actually gives the start of that final three-letter word, Bertie, being an A, because symmetrically Lynn would be the first three-letter entry. So in Bertie perhaps, I mean maybe I was right when I was saying that Bertie should actually be bestie. And perhaps is one. I mean, am I probably gives is one. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. I like that. So Bertie becomes bestie, which gives me, which is type of friend. I like that. It fits. I'm not really sure if it is for am, but they're both forms of the present tense. First person to be. No, it isn't. It is second or third person, I think, but am is. Anyway, whatever. I'm overthinking it. I think yes, that one is definitely me for bestie. Which gives us 2 letters now for the second last. Second last across entry. Maybe we do have T on the end, so I mean maybe we're not looking at changing stonking to stocking. Maybe stonking is a word. Draw dock. Draw can be all sorts of things, can't it? It can be sketch, it can be the tract. Tract ends in T, doesn't it? So looking for a 6-letter word. The third last letter is an I, and the last letter is a T. Draw, allure, appeal, be even, choose, come to, deduce, depict. I like depict. Not elicit, not entice. I'm sort of working backwards a bit, it's shading a little bit, but I wonder if it's depict. So Tesla can give us the T. Is depict? I don't think depict is a word. Stonking could well be epic. I think stonking is epic. That, yeah, extremely big and impressive. Oh, this is tricky. This is... dyke, I think, needs to change to... A letter needs to be changed in dyke to give us a word that abbreviates to a D. And, of course, it's duke. It has to be duke. So the Y changes to a U. The answer is depict. The Y changes to the U, which gives us a D for duke. Stonking is epic. And T is Tesla, so it's just a straightforward juxtapositional clue. Not even tell us to move things around, it just gives us directly what the answer is. Terrifically misleading. But I think that's why people like to solve these ones, because they are so misleading, they are so difficult in that way. So the depict, the D in the depict then starts, is the end of a 5-letter clue. We know that because it's symmetrical to the violin that we have, Amati. A 5-letter clue goes B something, A something, D. And I wonder if that is... That brings us back to that down clue, which is Brad. So bred furiously to protect ones. I wonder if that's braid. I mean, that fits there. If we change the A to E, mix that up and put it around D. I wonder if braid can be a word meaning own. I mean, one definition of own is to, when you own somebody, in the sense of, completely defeat them. I wonder if that ties me under braid. To upbraid, to reproach. It's a Shakespearean word, but just change colour or appearance to... I don't know. don't think so. I mean, to own is definitely to... Own is to confess. I don't know. It's not in changes. Maybe that's somebody... And own is a verb. Could potentially mean in colloquial sense to upbraid or approach, but the only sense in which that is a definition of braid is a Shakespearean sense, and we do not have a Shakespearean indicator in that clue. So I do not think that's what we are looking at. I suspect that's not going to be the answer. Got 4 viewers now, which is rather nice. Please say hello if you're listening. I'm going to probably log off and go to bed soon, but it'd be nice to say hello to anyone who's listening before I do. Just trying to think of something else that could be in here. I think I'm probably at the stage where I need to go away for a day and come back to this with a fresh set of eyes. In fact, I'm almost positive that I am at that stage. I'll save my work there. I mean, if I was to try and start brute forcing this grid, I think I could definitely probably do that. It's almost on the spirit of things. What I do know is this New York load short of use kept aboard Dutch boat. That starts with the B in the top row, then the 6th letter would be the L or the S, potentially. Could be bushels. Bushels, is that the American word for load? I mean, bushel certainly is, but... It is. A bushel is a large amount or number. I think that means loads. So let's say this means the answer to this is bushels. How would we get that out? Short use. So short of use gives us US. Kept aboard Dutch boat. There's a Buell... A Dutch boat. Short of use, or use might also be short of help, H-E-L, and I wonder if a Dutch boat could be S. Yeah, B-U-S-S, so B-U-S-S. A bus is not just something that goes on the road, but a small 2-masted Dutch vessel. And short of use is actually short of help, H-E-L-P. So the answer to that is bushels, but wait a second. If that is the answer, then where is the The only superfluous. I mean, I don't think there's anything there which is misspelt, but the word kept could be superfluous. Does the definition of use actually help? Fairly sure it is. So use is the act of using, employment. To make use of. And help can mean assistance and relief. I'm fairly sure use can mean that as well. Not quite sure what it is. Anyway, I'm confident that the answer to that clue though is bushels. So I'm going to put that in, because that is definitely New York loads. That confirms the missing letter from Sellers is the S. Gives us bushels here. But I'm just going to mark either the kept as the actual word and just put a question mark there, because I'm just not quite sure of the short of use for short of help. Probably because it's a little bit late and I'm a little bit tired and confused. Bushels, I like that. Anyway, we can come back to that potentially. That is an ambiguity which, in the clue-in giving, will be sorted out. What I am confident of, though, is that that is the correct answer. And just before I go, I think that means that I can put in some more of these bars. Whoopsie daisy. Where are we? There should also be the one bar which is, so the one cell which is checked, which has the extra the letter that is removed, I think. So bushels gives us, I think that confirms that that is checked. That would tend to confirm that this I here is checked if there's only one, so unchecked if there's only one checked cell which has the missing part. Just going back to that 7-letter entry. The letters that we have there looks a lot like amorettes, and an amorette is a sweetheart. Because the letters that we have here in the cell now do give that. So I'm just wondering when to take a longer time. Oh. It has to be amorettes. So longer, when is as to take, so to go around longer time, time is simply the T and longer is simply the more, which means that the nose must be an extra word there in that clue. So put nose as the extra word. Emirates is the answer. We enter that into the grid here. I think that tends to confirm, doesn't it, that look, I think it's very unlikely that I'm just looking at some of the cross clues. I think I can probably put some more bars in here. Just coming back to the cross clue after the clue for essentials, agent of change. No longer are we looking at ER for manager. We now have a U here. MUA something something something. So I wonder if what we are actually looking at is A going to U, if the definition is agent of change, then what we're looking at is U inside an anagram of manga, which would have to be MURA, looking at that grid, plus ANG. Do a search here, because none of these, it's just not the sort of thing that looks like an agent for change, does it? Muriga. So this is the shorter Oxford English Dictionary, which gives us no, that might not be right. But we do know that, sorry, the last across answer. Oh, wait a second. I had sender here, just from memory. That is in fact sendee. Down the bottom. Not sender. The last across answer is in the Oxford English Dictionary. And I'm sure sendee is in the Oxford. Is sendee not in? It is. No, it's not in Collins, Chambers, or idea. Okay, alright, so that's fine. So I was looking at Mura with 3, but Muringer, what's that? Muringer. Lots of responsible keeping stuff in. No. I wonder if it actually starts to sell earlier. Agent of change. I'm not at all sure about that. You can't work out what it could be. Because it does not look like manga UR is actually an anagram of anything. With an AR as an anagram of anagram, but what we do have here is, I suspect that's where the answer to this clue goes, the agent of change clue goes. Which would suggest that we are dealing with a U. But can't get an anagram out of manga and UR, which tends to suggest that that's not what we are looking for. Let's be looking for, let's see you replace with something else. Just not sure. We'll do a pattern search for the MU, something A, and then something else. Have we got any agents for changes popping up there? A mutagen, that's an agent for change. It's definitely a substance that causes mutations. Just going back to the clue though. I had that wrong, it wasn't AR, it was as. Mutagen. As in, oh, I'm an idiot. I was looking at this for another clue. As, of course, it's Latin version of use is as, so that gives us a use. As gives us a use. What we're changing isn't there, it's in fact here. It's mange. Total numpty. Total numpty. And thank God for pattern searches. Alright, I think on that note, I think that is a sign that it's time for me to finish up tonight. So I'm just going to take one last look at the grid and then I am and log off and hopefully pick this up tomorrow sometime and finish it off. But I'm quite and I'm reasonably pleased with this progress so far. What I do want to just do a quick search, quick run through of the answers that we have got, and just want to have a look at, I mean, how many of these are actually words that I actually know? Cowfer, never heard it. Before, I know that word. Sensual, I know that word. Mutagen, I've probably heard of that, but not in common usage. Kanema, never heard of that, so let's say 3-2. Mark, I knew that one. Threnos, didn't know that one. 4-3, I didn't know that language from northeast India. 5-3, I knew these. 5-5, 5-6. Salty, I think I've come across that before. Doonley, I haven't. So I think that's 6-7. Depictance ND, 6-9. Can't come across that. 6-10. Lion, Tigers, 6-12. I think I'd come across a Muddy, Bushell, 6-14. I hadn't come across for Seat, 7-14. Loris is on you, 7-15. Amerix and Rubia, sure. 7-17. Late, yes. MEs, 7-9. So out of all the ones that I've sold so far, 7 words I'd not heard of before, 19 words that I had, but that is such a ratio. I mean, it might just be that I don't have particularly extensive dictionary knowledge, but I think it just goes to underscore that it is okay to solve these puzzles with the help of solving aids and dictionaries. My view is that there is so much going on, and they challenge you, I suppose, lateral thinking in so many different ways, especially with this where before you can even get into it, solving a clue, you need to work out what has been done to the clue to change it before you can get an ordinary, straightforward cryptic crossword clue. And of course, no cryptic crossword clues are straightforward, but by definition they are cryptic. Anyway, the point I'm making is if you are solving these things and you find yourself using dictionaries, it's not cheating. It's I think necessary to a large a lot of instances to do it that way. Anyway, I'm going to leave off here. I will leave everything set up as it is, so we will log back in sometime tomorrow and have another crack. I'll stop the stream now. Thanks guys, bye.